Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Aussie Starcraft, where we're super excited to be bringing you some of the awesome games from DreamHack Bucharest. For those of you who don't know, the replay pack was released a little while ago now, but in between all the action we've had recently, we haven't had a chance to cast any of the games, so we'll be making our way through the replay pack, cherry picking a few of the great games that took place there at DreamHack Bucharest. So first off, from the round of 16, the bottom right hand corner is our blue Protoss player. We have My Insanity's Stardust, and in the top left hand corner of Alterzim Stronghold, his opponent and fellow team member, it's a Jjakji. So we are going to have a Protoss versus Terran here on Alterzim Stronghold, which has been the site of quite a few amusing games recently, but a few of you may remember the SOS versus Jjakji game that we cast here on the channel just a little while back. Did feature an excellent Protoss versus Terran matchup on this map. There are a lot of reasons for the sorts of games we've been playing. One, Alterzim Stronghold is one of the largest maps in the map pool. As you can see, it's just a phenomenal cross distance between these two bases. It opens up a lot of deviations in strategy that just wouldn't be viable on some of the other maps in the map pool. But as you can see, both our players here seem to be going straight for quick expansions. As you can see, Jjakji is throwing down his supply depot, likewise Stardust has his pylon down, but both players continuing to only make workers and going for very heavy macro opening. This is quite common here on Alterzim Stronghold, particularly because your opponent just has such a vast distance to travel that there's really very little they can do to punish this, save some sort of crazy proxy. But even with the proxy, you have to be sure you scout your opponent, otherwise they still often will have their defense up in time. So the Stardust grabbed his pocket natural expansion, likewise Jjakji's grabbed his. I imagine from here we'll see a fairly standard sort of Reaper opening from Jjakji, and curious to see what Stardust goes. We've seen a lot of Stargate play on Alterzim Stronghold out of Protoss players. That's not very uncommon given the size of the map. Things like Phoenix do make it very attractive. They can harass your opponent, give you a lot of map vision and control, and particularly shut down the quite irritating drop space. As you can see, your natural is quite easy to drop, as is your main base. Just phenomenal coverage around this base, almost impossible to try and keep it all safe with static defense. As a result, most Protoss players like to go for some sort of air here to hold out, and if they don't go for Phoenix, then they're certainly going to need some high Templar and very mobile D, things like Blinkstalkers, to try and keep those pesky Terran drops out of their base. Likewise, Terran players will often get a Viking or two just to ensure that no Warp Prism harass can occur. You'll frequently see a Warp Prism swing into this low corner and warp in a DT or two just to cause problems. And those are a lot of the sorts of things that you have to worry about on this map. But with its sheer size, often we'll see it run on into longer macro games. As you can see, both players have 5 expansions in their corner with completely empty corners in the other two sides of the map, meaning this base has a stellar 20 sets of mineral patches. So games that go long on Alterzim will go very long indeed, but seldom do we see all the bases taken, but we have seen a few crazy games here in the past. As we can see, SCV is going to get a full scout off here. You're going to be able to see the Cybercore and Gateway is on the way. We of course have the Mothership Core coming up in the natural here, just going to be keeping an eye on things over there. But as of yet, no tech choice down for Stardust. I imagine we'll see a Stargate come up soon. We have a pylon on the way, and we can see that Stardust is starting to hover a little bit of gas. So I imagine we'll see one of these probes any minute throw down either a Robo or Stargate. Though personally, I am leaning towards Stargate for Stardust. I don't know, maybe it's the name, maybe not, but fairly confident we will see that out of Stardust. Jjakji going to throw down his tech lab now. Going to be wanting to pick up that stim pack. We actually have these Marines walking out across the map. I gotta say, I don't know how big a fan I am of this choice from Jjakji. By the time these 6 or 7 Marines make it across the map, there's going to be a lot of units in play. This Stalker going to be able to pick off the SCV already, and this Stalker, if microed correctly, can cause a lot of problems for Jjakji. There are 5 Marines here at the top of the ramp, so likewise, this move out from Stardust, I don't see this Stalker as being able to do a whole lot. There is also a Marauder that will be in play by the time the Stalker makes it over. So, lot bigger fan for Jjakji, for Stardust, sorry, particularly because he doesn't have any gateways behind this to warp in to add pressure. really think this Stalk would have been better served staying home to pick on these Marines, which are actually barreling towards around. We do have 2 sentries here with the Mothership Core and the Zealot, so plenty to try and hold this off. But looks like the Marines are actually going to make it all the way up, and a bit of shocking force fields from Stardust actually going to cost him a sentry there. Mothership Core is going to rake in a few kills here. Zealot's going to be chasing these Marines down, but unfortunately very slow force fields there on the ramp did cost Stardust 1 sentry. It almost cost him the life of the second one. Pro's going to do a bit of work there to ensure the sentry does survive, but a little bit disappointing. Stardust did have the sentries in play. Those Marines shouldn't have done any damage at all, but unfortunately Stardust focusing elsewhere, and the Marines able to clean up a sentry and waste a few force fields. All little wins for our Terran player Jjakji. Stardust actually bringing up his Robo now. I've seen the Warp Prism come in. That is great for harass on this map. You do need a lot of missile turrets or Vikings to try and shut those down. So great choice from Stardust. Really like that there. It's surprising that he hasn't elected to go Stardust. I'm even calling them Stardust now. Hasn't elected to go Stargates, but we'll see how the Robo play works out. Obviously going straight for Colossi here. We do have the robotics bout in the way. Likewise Twilight Cancer, a little bit of an interesting sort of base shape here. Stardust base construction, a little bit different to what we see out of a lot of Protoss players. Really, there could be a number of uses for this, but I think one of them is to prevent different forms of scaling. It has hidden his robotics bay right at the back of the base, and things like Reapers won't be able to sneak in here. A long way to travel around these buildings, either direction, and can be picked off. So these buildings at the back are going to cost a scan to be picked up, and that'll allow Stardust to move forward fairly confidently. A few sets. We have the Warp Prism over here, going to be picking up a few Zealots for a bit of harassment, and we have a proxy pylon established as well. So looks like Jjakji actually thinking about taking his 3rd base shortly, and any moment now we should see that thrown down. Have a few Marines out on the map, and medevac drop moving out with a few Marauders and Marines towards that expansion. We do have 1 photon cannon here, but that cannon on its own won't be enough to hold off this drop. Photon overcharge on the other hand will be, and there is plenty of energy for 2 of those. Units in the middle of the map. Unfortunately the Phoenix not quite on the right angle is going to miss this drop, and Marine going to be checking on the 3rd base location of Stardust. Unfortunately this poor Marine going to come face to face with the Stalker, who is sent down there with the most impeccable of timing. These medevacs going to look to move in here, but we'll see if Stardust has a whiff of what's going on. Looks like the cannon's actually going to scare that back. Actually, a little bit of indecision there from Jjakji. Probably should have thrown them down just a bit quicker. Took the damage and a little bit of delay here. Colossi going to come down and force that right away. So those 2 medevacs going to be forced off, and unfortunately only able to do a little bit of shield damage to that Nexus. So not getting any hull damage. Managing to save most of the Marines and medevacs, but that one medevac perilously low health, and unfortunately its occupants probably feeling like they've got the raw end of the stick. The warp in here on the other side though causing big problems for Jjakji, as that Warp Prism that we saw loading up before making its way into the main base, we can see it's actually done 22 worker damage there. So unfortunately for Jjakji, a bit tied up there with his own medevac drop, did allow that Warp Prism to wreak quite substantial havoc in his main. You see SCVs down the natural expansion taking quite a bit of damage. So really highlighting the fact that on Alterzim Stronghold you really do have to watch out for this sort of drop play. Medevacs and Warp Prism is going to spoil your day all day every day. Would love to see Jjakji getting out and about with these Vikings just a little bit. Knows there's Colossi on the field and he'll surely need to bring them in for his inevitable push, but in the meantime they could be patrolling or making their presence felt just a little bit more, ensure that no other Warp Prisms sneaking. As we can see, Jjakji really doesn't have any missile turrets or anything defending his natural. Very easy for something like a Warp Prism full of Zealots to make its way in. Alternatively, you could even have a Warp Prism with a couple of High Templar that could land and storm very quickly. So Jjakji playing a little bit risky here with his complete lack of static defense. The only defense we see him play is a missile turret here at the ramp to try and prevent things like Dark Templar from running up. But if those same Dark Templar were to be in this natural expansion, there'd be all kinds of problems for Jjakji. No detection available, and as you can see, both his command centers actually very low on energy. So for 20 or 30 seconds, those Dark Templars would be able to reap absolute havoc through the base. We actually have Warp Prism speed coming up right now for Stardust. Not something we see every game, but obviously wanting to make use of the sheer size of this map, try and exploit it, get a few more of those Zealot Rambis. Did do phenomenal damage with that last one. 23 workers killed, almost incredible, leading the work count 58 to 46. So obviously a Terran player does still have mules on his side. +3, +1 coming up for the Protoss players. So Stardust units, well, they're not going to deal that much damage. Well, the Colossus will, but while they're going to be slightly lower on the attack upgrades, the defensive upgrades are absolutely flying, well ahead of the 1-1 of Jjakji. Jjakji really starting to feel the pain of these Warp Prism harass, snuck back in, and these Zealots just continuing to harass both at the third base and the natural expansion. Plenty more Zealots being warped in here. We see 32 workers have gone down. That's just phenomenal economic damage here, and Jjakji very indecisive as to how he's actually going to deal with this. These Zealots just having an absolute field day here. The Marines and Marauders have been pulled down to deal with this. Work is going to be largely saved here, but how much damage was done in those harassments? 46 workers killed. We can see in the worker kill counts 33 to 60 is literally a double worker advantage for our Protoss player Stardust. So very difficult position for Jjakji to be in. I can't help but think it's because of his continued decision to not defend the space. That Zealot even able to grab another mule before falling. Just absolutely big pickups there for Stardust, and critical errors for Jjakji. Unfortunately, it seems he's not playing at his regular rate. We've seen great things out of Jjakji at the start of 2014, and we would expect those things of him again here. This drop going to be making its way into the third base, but unfortunately for Jjakji, you can see the cannons now down. High Templars here are going to be, say, a big no-no to this drop. As you can see, 144 energy to 131 health. These medevacs will die instantly to a feedback, so this is an absolute no-fly zone for those medevacs. And Jjakji has to try and make something work here with this push. 3 base Terran to 3 base Protoss when you're at such an income deficit. When your Protoss has almost double your income, you know you're in trouble. You can pray nightly to the god of mules, but mule power will only get you so far, particularly when your 3 orbital commands are as tapped out as these 3 are. Could also work a little bit on the saturation here. We've got an oversaturated third base when a main and natural are actually a little bit worked out here. We have Zealots walking their way straight back into the third base, another one heading into the main base. There's a few Marines here to try and deal with this, but the Zealot in the third base is going to do more damage. His first kill is, second kill up, we'll possibly get a third kill here, and even a fourth. It's on hold position, but it's still just doing so much damage. 5th kill. A single Zealot should not be doing this much damage. 7 kills there. We see 55 workers have gone down, and this is insane. We see Stardust actually managing a great pincer move on a portion of the army. Swings in here. The Vikings are getting good connections with these Colossus, but there are too many Colossus. EMPs are thrown down. There's still 5 Colossus here, taking a lot of damage, but still way too many Colossus for the amount of Marines and Marauders that are left. And Stardust takes and well, I don't like to call it an easy win, but Stardust is a phenomenal Protoss, but just making it look easy there with how he dealt with Jjakji there on Alterzim Stronghold. So little bit of a power press for Protoss there, but Stardust showing us just how good Warp Prisms can be. I wanted to show this game for that reason. We haven't seen as much Warp Prism harass as we were in early Heart of the Swarm. Seen a lot of Stargate play things like Oracles and Phoenix openers out of Protoss players, but Stardust there showing us just how powerful a little bit of Warp Prism harass can be, and unfortunately for Jjakji, just not adapting very well, not getting that static defense in play, not protecting his third base. Something like a bunker with a few Marines would have done worlds of assistance there for him, but Stardust able to take the win. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We have much more DreamHack action coming your way. We have a great innovation game that I'm planning to cast next, so hope you guys are enjoying them. If you are, we'd love to see you here on the channel in the future, and by all means let your friends know about us who can't use another YouTube subscriber. So please guys, let your friends know about us. We'll be bringing you plenty more Heart of the Swarm action right after this break, so we'll catch you in the next cast. Thanks guys.